$2,200 flat Social Security benefit for everyone. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. I know in this video, I want to share with you the details of a new concept and a plan circling around where they're discussing flattening out Social Security benefits for all beneficiaries. At the same time, this would ultimately raise benefits for lower income beneficiaries, and that's what I want to talk about here in the video. Let's get into it and talk about what they're now saying. Really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side every single day. As your one and only daily advocate, I'm watching everything very closely as it's hitting the wire, doing the research and breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay posted on what is actually going on and how it may impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, and of course anything you can possibly grab and or take advantage of. So again, thanks so much for being here. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and talk about the new idea, the new concept that is floating around as far as what they want to do to flatten out Social Security benefits over a long period of time and ultimately make it down to the process of where all beneficiaries get essentially the same benefit amount, which would raise benefits for lower income beneficiaries pretty substantially. All right, so this is actually a pretty interesting concept, and we've heard similar plans like this previously over the last couple of years, which I've shared with you in other videos. However, let me break down the details of this because, as we all know, Congress is in a little bit of a tizzy right now, trying to figure out what is going on with Social Security. What are we going to do to raise benefits? What are we going to do to increase solvency? All kinds of things like this. You've seen all the plans, the proposals, the packages. We've talked about all of them before in other videos, right? So Congress is very confused right now. They don't know what the approach is. However, they're coming up with all these different ideas. Seriously, there's so many out there that continue to be introduced. We're hearing all of these different plans as far as let's do this, let's do that, let's change that, let's raise that, let's do all this stuff, right? And again, as I mentioned before in other videos, it's just a matter of coming together on all these different plans that they have and determining, okay, we have 60 different plans. We have 100 different plans, whatever it happens to be. Let's narrow it down to the top, 10 or whatever it is, and then go from there to figure out which of these actually makes the most sense. However, they've done research on this, and they continue to find time and time again some interesting discrepancies between lower income beneficiaries and higher income beneficiaries. All right, so here's what it comes down to. Essentially what they want to do is flatten out Social Security benefits, okay? Now, what would this essentially mean? So think of it as kind of like a line graph or something, right? So on one extreme on the left side, you have the lowest income beneficiaries. Kind of right down the middle is a vertical line kind of right in the middle, which would represent like equilibrium right in the middle, the average benefit right down the middle of, this essential line graph. And then on the far right side, we have the maximum benefits for the highest income beneficiaries, okay? So basically what they want to do is they want to start squeezing the edges in closer and closer to the middle, and then over about a 20-year period of time, they want to flatten out these benefits so that at, about 20 years from right now, they would flatten out these benefits and all beneficiaries would essentially be getting the exact same dollar amount. Now, why would they want to do such a thing, right? We've earned these benefits. This is something we've worked for. We've earned the benefits, through years and years of paying it through Social Security payroll taxes. Why would they want to do such a thing? Well, here's what they're thinking. And here's the logic behind this, as well as the studies and all the reports that they found with all this. Here's what they found about beneficiaries. They found that lower income beneficiaries, which encompasses a huge percentage of beneficiaries. So the lowest income beneficiaries rely on their monthly check for 90% or more of their monthly income. Okay, so essentially the lower income beneficiaries rely on virtually all of their check, or pretty much the entire check, most of it, for all of their income on a monthly basis. Okay, very reliant on Social Security. Well, that's very important, right? And these benefits, again, are the lowest of income benefits. So therefore, we find it's very hard to live on that, right? Well, here's what they also find. On the other end of the spectrum, the highest income beneficiaries basically don't rely on their Social Security check as essential income, but rather it's viewed more as like a bonus check, not necessarily a safety net check, which, by the way, I've talked about that concept in another video as well, where they've had that idea out there as well. Is it a bonus check or a safety net check, right? You've probably seen that video. I've talked about that before, but that's what they're finding. So here's what they find. With higher income beneficiaries, they find that these individuals typically have multiple other sources of income, like maybe pension, maybe dividend income, maybe annuities, maybe real estate income, maybe a stock portfolio, maybe a 401k, an IRA, the list goes on and on, maybe, all kinds of stuff like this. They have all kinds of alternative investments, and they have a lot of other income in conjunction with their monthly check from Social Security. So it's not like they're relying 100% on their Social Security check for their major source of income, but rather they have all this other source of income, and then on top of that, it's like, hey, now I also get a couple $1,000s from Social Security every single month. Awesome, on top of that, right? So what these people are suggesting is that, wait, we have this major discrepancy. On one hand, we have beneficiaries who are getting small benefits, completely reliant on their check, and on the other hand, we have higher income beneficiaries who are getting their check along with other sources of income that they're not even, relying on their Social Security all that much. So then the idea would be, do this. Start reducing benefits from higher income beneficiaries and raising benefits simultaneously for lower income beneficiaries, okay? Now, this would be a very incremental change over long periods of time, okay? Now, they've also talked about completely eliminating the cost of living adjustment or the COLA for higher income beneficiaries as well. You've probably seen that video. I've talked about that as well. That's a completely separate plan. But what they want to do here is maybe eliminate the COLA for higher income beneficiaries and then also start to shave down these benefits. So here is what it may look like. Let me illustrate this really quickly. All right, so this is going to be an example, okay? So the numbers I'm going to give here are just completely ambiguous, just arbitrary numbers just to kind of illustrate this process, okay? So here's what they're thinking. Maybe on an annualized basis, we get the lower income beneficiaries, which by the way, anything basically less than equilibrium would be, around that $2,200 a month range would be the equilibrium point, okay? As in the middle benefit, okay? That's where they're kind of suggesting. All right, so here's what it come down to. The lower income beneficiaries that are getting below that maybe get the cost of living adjustment plus an extra like 1.5%, 2% boost on top of that, okay? So that would be like the extra little boost. Now, at the same time, the higher income beneficiaries above equilibrium would be getting no raise, as in no cost of living adjustment, and then they would also be getting a 1.5%, maybe 2% reduction to their benefit every single year, okay? You kind of see how this is playing out, right? So the higher income beneficiaries are not getting the COLA and would be getting a reduction to their benefits in about, 1.5%, maybe 2%, something like that. And again, these are just example purposes. They're real numbers as far as what they would figure out. That would still need to be calculated to figure out the best approach on this. And that would be the work of a mathematician. I am not a mathematician by any means, okay? So they would have to figure all that out. But then on the other hand, that money that would be essentially otherwise going to higher income beneficiaries as a result of the COLA, and then the benefits that are essentially being taken away or shaved off the top for higher income beneficiaries would then be shuffled over to lower income beneficiaries on top of the COLA that they would be getting. Then they would also be getting this extra 1.5%, 2%, or whatever it happened to be, raise on top of that, okay? So you kind of see how this works. And then over long periods of time, lower income beneficiaries are raising their benefit faster and higher. Meanwhile, higher income beneficiaries are lowering slower and slower, you know what I mean? Or kind of just bringing these down. So think of this analogy, and I'm not sure if this is really going to make sense. I literally just thought about it right now as I was talking. Maybe this would be a good analogy, okay? So think of yourself driving down the highway, right? Or the interstate or whatever. You're cruising at, whatever. Let's just say 60 miles per hour, okay? And there's a vehicle way up front, okay? You see it like a dot on the horizon, okay? It's a straight road, flat, stuff like this, and you see a little dot on the horizon. It represents a car, okay? So you're driving at 60, that other car is driving at, say, 55, okay? So very, very slowly, you're going to gain on that vehicle, right? It's going to take a long time because you're going 5 miles per hour faster than that vehicle is, but you're still traveling forward at, kind of relatively this, very close speed, right? But over periods of time, over a long period of time, as in however long that takes, you will close the gap on that distance. And eventually you will pass that person, or you will meet them at equilibrium, as in you'll be side by side. You can look over it across the window and say, hey, you can wave to the person, right? And meanwhile, not that long ago, you were sitting there way back and the other car was sitting as a dot on the horizon, right? Same analogy here. Basically what it'd be is the lower income beneficiaries would be moving at 60 miles per hour in this, little example that I'm giving you, and higher income beneficiaries would be sitting at 55 miles per hour. Eventually, the lower income beneficiaries will catch up, and you'll be side by side, and you can look over across the window at each other, and you can wave or whatever you want to do, right? So that's essentially the analogy that I wanted to share with you, is that it's giving the lower income beneficiaries a little bit more, foot on the pedal, a little more gas going out there, and helping them reach up to the higher income beneficiaries, okay? So I'm not really sure if that's the best example. I literally just thought as I was talking, I thought, you know what, this might be a good little analogy that I can kind of explain here to kind of better illustrate what this picture would look like. So that's what they're talking about, okay? Now, whether something like this actually happens, we don't really know yet, but I do know this much. This is one of probably, I'm going to say probably like 4, 5, maybe 6 different ideas, proposals that are out there to shave down the benefits of higher income beneficiaries, raise taxes on higher income beneficiaries, cap out benefits for higher income beneficiaries, eliminate the COLA for higher income beneficiaries. We've seen it all out there, right? I've talked about it before in other videos. We've seen these out there, okay? This would just be another one in conjunction with that, which would essentially do the exact same thing. Raising benefits for lower income beneficiaries, reducing benefits for higher income beneficiaries, taking that money that was going to be going to higher income beneficiaries, giving it to the lower income beneficiaries, and all of a sudden benefits are becoming more equal over a long period of time. This is not something that would happen in a week or a day or a month or a year. This is something that, according to what I've been reading on this, would take about 20 years. The reason for that being is that it would be small incremental changes. It'd be such small incremental changes that a lot of people wouldn't even really notice it. As in the higher income people, they probably wouldn't even really notice, hey, my benefit was reduced by 2% this year. That's, $80 or $70 or whatever it happens to be, right? $75. Oh, that's too bad, but I'm not really going to miss it kind of situation, right? So they want to make it so small that it's like, the change is definitely there, but it's not like it's so big that it's like, oh, now the higher income beneficiaries are, really feeling the pinch on this. Does that make sense? So this apparently would take about a 20-year period of time to do all of this, but at the end of the day, they would end up with a benefit around that $2,200 range, and it would be equilibrium, where essentially it's turned into a guaranteed basic income program, is essentially what it would turn into at that point. Does that kind of make sense? Anyway, hope this makes sense for you, which, by the way, if you're curious what guaranteed basic income is, I do have a lot of videos here on the channel where I've alluded to it, and I do have dedicated videos here on the channel as well, talking about GBI, guaranteed basic income. So, hope this one helps you out. Again, I want to bring this to your attention. This is another one that we've seen out there, a lot of interesting information floating around, and again, just want to bring this to your attention so you can see what's going on. So anyway, please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media. Go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day. Thanks again for watching. Truly do appreciate it. Share this video with your friends, family, social media so we can continue to help out as many people as we can right now. A lot of stuff going on. Anyway, enjoy. Have a good day. And catch you again later.